Hi Cancer, welcome to your December 2019 Astrology 33 reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And for those of you interested in booking a personal reading with me, I actually won't be offering those until the second week of December, but just keep an eye out. I'll probably post something on my channel when I do pick them back up. Alright, so with that out of the way, we have a Celtic cross in front of us as always, and then you guys got some extra cards that popped up in the last two positions there. Then we have a couple of oracle cards that we'll read once we get to the main spread, and also a mudra card to get to. So definitely a lot to cover. We'll get started with the main position. In the position of the main situation, we have the Nine of Swords. So this could just represent that you might have a lot of anxiety around something, maybe losing a lot of sleep. And I do have to say this is actually a card of Gemini, and the middle 10 degrees of Gemini at that. And this month of December, there's actually going to be a full moon in those degrees of Gemini, and for you guys, that's your 12th house. So naturally, that can, make you feel a little bit anxious, maybe a bit trapped in your head, maybe replaying things that might have taken place in the past. Not really seeing a way out of that energy. And then also, we are coming out of, basically at the time I'm recording this, we're in the middle of November, so we just had the full moon in Taurus, and we still have Mercury retrograde in your 5th house, so this could just be maybe something that might have taken place during that time as well. Maybe a conversation with a friend that might have went off the rails, for example. That's just one of many examples that come to mind. Maybe even a romantic relationship, or maybe there were some misunderstandings there, and maybe even an ending. But yeah, there's plenty of ways that this could play out. But I would say if this is the energy that you're feeling yourselves in, maybe keep in mind that around the time after that full moon passes in Gemini, you might start to feel the pressure alleviate from the situation. In the challenger obstacle position, we have the Tower. So for some of you, this could be what the anxiety is about. Maybe you guys already went through a tower moment, and that's why, you keep replaying the situation in your head. Maybe, wondering if it could have gone differently, for example. What we do always say, and it could be hard to hear especially if you've just gone through it, but in the long run, the tower moments do end up being for the greater good, basically. It's often referred to as a divine intervention energy, where we see that lightning bolt coming out, and basically its purpose is to show you where the foundations of things aren't as stable as you thought they were. So for example, let's just say this is just one blow-up argument, right? And it seems to completely end the relationship, whether it be a friendship, romantic relationship, or whatever. I mean, in a way that shows you that the foundation wasn't as stable as you thought, right? If just one argument could do that much damage. So it doesn't necessarily have to mean a definitive ending, but sometimes it might help you see things in a more realistic light as well, where you say, okay, well, clearly we have some work to do here, right? No matter what the situation may be. Because like I said, it could be plenty of different things. For others of you, though, I do have to say that keep in mind with this showing up in the challenger obstacle position with that card in particular, this could also be saying to be mindful of, the potential for this to occur if you're too stuck in that energy. So for example, if you're really going through this type of anxious vibe right now, and you're not really getting a lot done, this could just be saying that, maybe being so trapped in your head in one area of life might cause some other things to go off the rail for you in some way, shape, or form. But for a lot of you, I feel like this is more than likely something that already happened, and the reason I say that is at the bottom of the deck, we have the Star card. So this is pretty much the card that comes right after the Tower. We see this is 16 and this is 17. So basically what I usually say is, this is that divine intervention energy, and then this card here represents the dissolution of ego. So, for some of you, I feel like this already happened, given that that's what's showing up at the bottom of the deck. But for those of you who are concerned about maybe this is something that could be at play for you guys, just try to carry a protection stone around for yourselves. Maybe black tourmaline, for example. That's the one I usually recommend with this card in particular. But like I said, given the Nine of Swords in particular, this could even just be that you're anxious, fearing that something like this might happen, but it might not actually play out that way. All right, in the foundation position, we have the Two of Cups. So this is actually a Cancer energy. For one, represents the first 10 degrees of Cancer. So for those of you who have your placement there, maybe this will resonate for you a bit more. But to have this in foundation, for one, it shows me that some of you guys might be starting something brand new. Can be a romantic relationship, could be any type of partnership, even a business partnership. And that would make sense too, as far as, like I said, for those of you, if you already did go through a tower moment, then usually, yes, that does come with a fresh start after that, right? I mean, pretty much you're in the process of rebuilding from there. So that could be what's going on there. But if that is the case and that's what you're going through, it definitely seems to point to, once again, the energy that, yes, this was something that did need to be cleared away in order for you to have this new start. So that's the positive in that regard. But in general, this could just be saying that this is you ready to move things forward in some way, shape, or form. In the past position, we have the Eight of Cups. So this is actually a Pisces energy. But more than that, I would say what this usually points to is someone coming to the realization that they're not fulfilled in a certain area of life and deciding to walk away in order to find something that they do find more fulfilling. So, for example, if this was leaving a relationship of some kind or a job, you name it, a friendship, it could have just been that that was the reasoning behind it. You felt like, yeah, maybe you guys had a long history together, right? But maybe you felt like you weren't being fulfilled enough and you wanted to see what else was out there. So that could be what's at play there. There's not really much going on in Pisces right now. Well, I think Neptune actually, by the time we do get into December, it'll be direct. So maybe that could be what this is pointing to as well. And for you guys, that's ninth house matters. So for some of you, especially given in the present position, we have the World card. The way this could even be playing out for some of you could just be saying that, maybe you guys have gone back to school. Maybe you're like, all right, well, in my current job with my current education level, I'm not really going to get where I want to go, right? So some of you might have actually re-enrolled into school recently. And with the World card coming up here, this could just be saying that some of you might be graduating. Most people graduate in the spring semester, but for some of you, actually might be graduating in December. So that could be what this is pointing to here, and maybe this is you just really freaking out over finals, for example. That could be one of the more basic ways it's playing out. You could just have a lot of anxiety, maybe like, how am I going to get this all done? And I mean, for you guys, Cancers, in general, you tend to be very nurturing and tend to look out for people around you too. So let's say if that is what's going on, you might have finals coming up, but you also are thinking to yourself, well, I have to do all these things for the holidays, right? So you could just really be stressing yourself out. And then the warning there could even be just with the Tower coming up in the challenge position is to try not to do too much, and then you could end up burning yourself out. So it sounds like a tricky balance to find, right? For one, don't be stuck in your head all the time and not get anything done, but then at the same time, don't push yourself to get everything done, So try to maintain some kind of balance if you can. Yeah, this definitely represents a card of completion, and believe it or not, in December we'll be in eclipse season once again. There will be a new moon eclipse in Capricorn towards the very end of the month, around the 26th, I believe. And then January, it'll be time for the eclipse in your sign. So, But yeah, this does represent that if there was some kind of an ending recently, it definitely looked like it was actually very meant to be and on the path for your overall growth. So at least you could take some comfort in that. And it looks like you've successfully integrated some lessons, whether you might believe it or not. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you did go through that Tower moment, then you're not seeing why you had to go through it yet. But given the World card in the present and the Star card at the bottom of the deck, it looks like it really was, to push your life forward in a positive way. All right, in the near future position, we have the Hanged Man. So this is actually a major arcana card of Pisces for me. So more Pisces energy, and like I said, we have Neptune starting to go direct by the time we're in December, and then also on top of that, you're going to have that full moon in your 12th house. So this could be pointing to that as well. So like I was saying, that's another reason why I feel that if you are trapped in your head and feeling a lot of anxiety as we come into December, maybe by the time we have that full moon in your 12th house, which is around the 12th or 13th, I believe, of December, by the time that energy clears, you should see things from a different perspective at that point, and it should really alleviate all of that pressure you're feeling. So, keep in mind it doesn't seem like it's going to be something that's long term, so it might just be a couple weeks for you guys. In the position of your influence in a situation, we have the Page of Swords. So this represents wanting to communicate something, and with the page energy, it's not the highest level. So it's not a knight, not a queen or a king. So what we see is the person. I usually refer to this as 1 foot in, 1 foot out energy, and it's mostly due to confidence. There's the purity of the page energy in that they are going to speak the truth, but it could just be a little bit of fear around doing so. Even if you look at the way he's holding the sword, right, doesn't look fully comfortable with it. I don't know why this card, there we go. I was going to say, I don't know why it won't focus, but you can see he doesn't look all that confident holding the sword. So, could just be, again, like I said, maybe some of you had some kind of a falling out with someone during the Mercury retrograde period, and maybe now you're ready to try to repair that, but it's freaking you out. And that's what I was saying too. Like I said, keep in mind, even if you did go through a tower moment, it doesn't necessarily mean that connection has to be over forever. But again, it could be one of those reality check type things, where like, okay, we, got some things out there. Maybe they didn't come out in the best way, right? But at least we know where we stand, and now you can make that decision. All right, do you want to continue on and try to rebuild in a more stable way, or just leave it behind, right? So looks like you do want to reach out in some way, shape, or form. And I usually point out to people that those trees in the background almost remind me of the logo for Facebook. So I could even just be saying that for a lot of you, you could be deciding to communicate over social media. In the environment position, we have the Eight of Swords. So more Gemini energy here. But for some of you, this can just be pointing to your energy, saying that the energy in the environment has you feeling like you can't move forward, right? Like you don't know quite yet. Like, okay, am I good to reach out? Am I not good? And maybe that's where the Nine of Swords energy is coming into play as well. Or on the flip side of that, this could just be saying that maybe the person that you're dealing with, they're the ones who, they're feeling a little bit trapped in their heads too. So in a way, you both could be mirroring in that regard, where neither of you are feeling comfortable to move forward. It looks like you might be getting closer to it than they would be, obviously, with the Eight of Swords. But that could be what's going on there. So keep in mind that as anxious as you may be feeling, they might be feeling the exact same way. So probably neither of you were feeling too good about this, whatever it was. Like I said, if it was an argument with a romantic partner, a friend, in the workplace, you name it. It doesn't look like this is a very celebratory vibe that they're in right now either, right? So, neither of you probably wanted it to go down that way. So that's definitely something to keep in mind too. But also keep in mind that if you are coming out and communicating and you don't hear a response back from them right away, just keep in mind it could be in this energy. So if you keep sending more and more messages, that might, let's say each of these swords represent a message, that might make them feel more and more anxious rather than, comfortable. So just keep that in mind too, especially if you want it to be extra safe, you could wait until after the first week of December when Mercury will be out of retrograde, or even wait until that full moon in your 12th house to really clear things up. So maybe, let's say, after the first 2 weeks of December, you could communicate. Maybe that'll increase the chances of actually hearing back from them. But keep in mind that, hey, maybe if you send out a message and you don't hear back right away, instead of, sending them more messages over and over, just try to give it a little time, because either the more you send, the more anxious they might get, or it just might be one of those things where maybe they read it, but they're not quite sure how to respond yet, so you just might have to be a little patient. So it could even be playing out in the reverse, right? It could even be saying that, You go through that tower moment, you reach out to someone to try to fix it, you don't hear back from them, and then you start freaking out like, uh-oh, is it over, you know? So I would say try not to overreact on either end of the spectrum. Looks like this person could just be a bit trapped in their head. Like I said, like you, ironically. So in the hopes or fears position, we have the Sun, the Nine of Pentacles, and the Page of Pentacles. So this can just be saying that maybe this is around workplace matters, and maybe what's going on there is you're hoping to receive some recognition for the work you've put in, right? So you could actually enjoy yourself a little bit, and you could just be feeling like maybe what you're looking for is right out of reach. So like I said, maybe some of you are going to be graduating in December, and now you're going to feel like, all right, well, now I could go out there and get a job, right? So you might be putting your resume out there and hoping to get some recognition for that. For others of you, this could just be saying that, you know, maybe this is around a bonus or possibly a raise at work too, where you're like, all right, well, I put in a lot of work. Hopefully I get the recognition for that, and I can actually, you know, level up in some way, shape, or form. And then same thing there, where this, if this is a workplace thing too, keep in mind that they really might be just evaluating your work. So, you know, if you don't hear back right away, it's not the end of the world in that regard. It seems like they could just still be really considering what to do, and so you might just have to wait a little bit. And that new moon eclipse towards the end of December in your opposite sign, you know, most people think romantic relationships with that, but that usually, 7th house represents all kinds of partnerships. So worst case, around the time of that new moon, you might hear some positive news as well. All right, in the outcome position, we have the Page of Cups, the High Priestess, the Seven of Swords, and the Seven of Pentacles. So this is a very interesting combination of cards, but what comes to my mind first is that someone might come to you and make a romantic offer of some kind, right? They might make a romantic move toward you, and then you might be trying to really rely heavily on your intuition, because with that fish in the cup there, I always say, you know, quite literally, something might seem fishy with the offer, right? So maybe if this is someone you haven't heard from in a long time and all of a sudden they pop up out of the blue trying to make a romantic offer, you might really trying to rely on your intuition, like, all right, where is this coming from? Can I trust this person, right? And intuitively, you might feel like they're being deceptive, and then you might have to, you know, from there decide, all right, do I even want to deal with this person again, right? So maybe you guys have quite a history together, given that we have the Seven of Pentacles there, but you could really be on the fence about should you trust them or not. For others of you, it can play out the other way too, where you might be the one extending the offer, since we do see the Page of Swords there. And it could be them that intuitively they feel like maybe you're the one who's up to something, given that they're in that Eight of Swords energy. So they might be the ones, you know, could be exactly that way too for them. So it could be them who feels like, oh, I don't know if I could trust Cancer. So you would know which of those scenarios fits, but that's really the only thing I'm really picking up there, even though it's such a weird combination of cards. But and you know what, this can be around the workplace too, again, because let's say they do give you some kind of offer, right? And you might feel like they're not offering you as much as they could, for example. So maybe that Seven of Swords is they're telling you, oh, we can only offer you this much. Meanwhile, they have that much more that they technically could offer you, you know? So for those of you, if you did just graduate, or will rather, in December, and you go on an interview, maybe keep that in mind. You know, if they do seem to give you a low offer initially, keep in mind that they probably do have more that they can offer. So, you know, you might be able to try to negotiate a little bit with them on that. All right. And moving on to your oracle cards. First, we have Truth to be Told. There's the artwork, and the number is 14. It says honesty, accepting things at face value, coming out of denial, the willingness to be transparent, clarity of communication. So coming out of denial, maybe that could be either pointing at Nine of Swords or even for the other person, the Eight of Swords energy. Clarity of communication, like we said, if you do feel a little bit foggy about everything, maybe you could wait until at least the end of the first week, possibly even the end of the second week after you have that full moon in your 12th house before trying to communicate anything too serious. All right, the oracle's message says there is the truth, which is the essence of a thing, and then there is a truth, subjective according to the philosophy of the adherent or believer. This is not a time for debate about which truth is truer. This is a time when you are called to proclaim your truth out loud and be willing to be transparent, honest, and open in your communication with others and with yourself. Nothing less than surrender to what is. Peeling off the layers of denial that kept you tied to an illusion will set you free. Be authentic and gloriously flawed, and spirit will answer with miracles. And for some of you, even that could even be what the tower is about too. Maybe this is some kind of conversation that you do have to have with someone, and maybe you're both dreading it, right? Because maybe you both have built things up on this shaky foundation. And it could just be saying that, yeah, okay, yes, you might go through that tower moment, but you might be able to rebuild from there as well. So, see what the relationship message says. It says, people tell you who they are very quickly if you're willing to listen to what they say and pay attention to how they behave. This card calls you to engage in heartfelt, open conversation. It's time to see the truth about what you share with each other and tell the truth about who you are and what you need. No one can do that for you. Remember that your truth is always based in your personality and experience up to now. A higher truth will be found after you communicate honestly and see how doing so has helped you become more attuned to yourself. Don't hold back. Speak your truth and listen. It's funny too, where in a way I was thinking more, especially with those cards at the end, maybe for some of you this is someone you have a long history with, but ironically enough, for some of you this could even be someone you met during the retrograde, and maybe both of you, there could have been a lot of communication, confusion rather around the communication there, and maybe now with the retrograde energy moving away in December, now you guys might see each other more realistically and have to clear up all that confusion, so it could be as simple as that too. Or maybe there were some assumptions made, or some things were implied, but now you're actually getting a little more serious and actually having to talk through these things. All right, the prosperity message says, are you willing to do whatever it takes to experience the prosperous life you desire? If you want to be an artist, do you make art a priority? If you want to be a healer, do you set time aside to learn new things to help you serve? A writer must write, and a singer must sing. Being true to your calling is essential to your moving forward. There is another oracle message here too. It's time to have a look at the real, honest truth about your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs about prosperity, about your relationship to money, to compensation, and to meaningful work. Ask yourself, what is true for me? And you will find a key to abundance. So, like I said, I didn't get a huge why can't I speak right now? Well, Mercury retrograde for one. What I was going to say is that I didn't get a huge vibe as far as actual jobs, career. So if you guys are looking for more perspective on that, hopefully that message resonated with you. All right, moving on to the next oracle card, we have Sandpiper Spirit. It says, be playful. There's the artwork for it, and the number is 51. All right, it says, sandpipers are like cute little clowns poking their beaks into the sand before darting off to chase the waves. The appearance of Sandpiper Spirit is a sign that now is a time to engage your playfulness. Whatever task you have before you, perform them with a lightness of being. Explore the familiar, discovering the new and the old. Who knows what treasures await you when you let yourself laugh and have fun? Sandpiper Spirit's happy and curious nature can help you to feel rejuvenated as you remember your ability to run and fly and dance playfully. So, pretty positive message there too. And in a way, like I said, for some of you, this could even just be a lot of anxiety that a lot of people tend to get this time of year because you try to get so much done. In your job, for example, they might have goals that they want or deadlines set for the end of the year. So you're trying to get all of that done. Then you have, no matter where you are in the world, there's some kind of holidays going on in December, no matter what your culture and everything. So then you have the holidays on top of that. So it could just be a lot of frenetic energy in general. And, obviously, like I said, you guys are very nurturing and caring, so you might want to take care of everyone. And then, you might burn yourselves out in that regard too. So that could be what the tower is pointing to. So maybe it's trying to say in that regard, try to tackle those things with a more playful vibe as opposed to overly stressing out about it and, taking the fun out of it, basically. All right, last thing we have is a mudra card, and this is your mudra for the month. It's a Granthita mudra, and the keyword for it is redemption. So, I don't know, maybe with that, given that you guys seem to be the ones reaching out, if there was some kind of a falling out, maybe you might have felt like it was more your fault. Given that this does say redemption, I don't know, maybe that'll resonate for some of you. All right. Under benefits, it says, prepares the mind for meditation, opens Vishuddha chakra, which is the throat center, benefits the voice, improves thyroid function, increases the body's self-healing capacity, especially in cases of cancer. So that sounds like something you think will be beneficial for you. I will put the name of that mudra in the description so you can look into it some more. We'll wrap up there, guys. Happy holidays, and I'll see you all next year. All right, bye.